My name is Matt Ungerman. I've been a courier since summer of 2001, so about 9 years now.
Name's Stephen Fye. I'm the co-owner of Milwaukee Courier Company. We've been established a year and 2 months now, I think.
My name's Eric Gallagher. Been a bike messenger for a couple years now.
My name is Julian Deal. I've been a courier for over a period of 12 years. I basically have about 10 years, almost total experience in different cities around the country and overseas.
There's 3 small bike messenger companies basically in Milwaukee, and everyone's good friends, and like I guess there's a total of probably like 13 or 14 messengers in the city.
There's 3 companies in town right now that offer bicycle service. There's Breakaway Courier Company, STS Delivery, and there's us, Milwaukee Courier Company.
It's an interesting dynamic. We have interesting relationships for sure. You know, there's been some drama between the companies. You know, not going to get into anything specific, obviously, but sometimes there's drama. You know, clients will choose to go a different way and stuff like that, and it stirs up some emotions here and there. But for the most part, you know, all the guys get along real well, even between the different companies.
I mean, what we're doing is really kind of like, it's a very old school kind of business if you really think about it. I mean, you know, you throw the Nextels away, brick radios, things like that. I mean, honestly, we are just guys on bicycles running around delivering packages, you know, and that's pretty damn old school. No matter how much technology kind of keeps trying to kind of fade us out, which, you know, it's doing in a lot of other cities with e-filing and things like that, there's still always a need for us, thank God, you know, but when you look at it, it's a real simple process, you know. One guy telling 5 guys where to go and where to pick it up. And a lot of people are shocked sometimes when you mention that you're a bicycle courier, and you know, it's usually a couple handfuls of different like responses from people. Either they didn't know about it, they didn't know it existed, they didn't know it still existed, they thought it only happens in New York. You know, and of course, everybody, you know, in this Facebook fast food era, you know, is just kind of shocked that we still can exist, and we do, you know, and we do well.
Bike couriers do exist because there's always going to be a necessity for getting something from one place to another, and just certain services aren't going to be able to take care of it, you know. So people don't really realize that we're out there, but it's a pretty thriving business. So even though everything's switching over to electronic, there's still going to be need for paperwork to be delivered in that, and I guess that maybe surprises some people.
I had a conversation with a client the other day that was shocked when she first seen a bicycle courier. She was appalled by us, you know, just absolutely disgusted. And I asked her, I looked at her, I'm like, have you ever dealt with bicycle couriers before? She's like, no. I'm like, well, that's the way they look. We all kind of look like that. We're all dirty and gross. I'm like, I wouldn't say we're dirty and gross. I mean, man, we're out there 30, 40 miles a day sucking up, you know, the tailpipe of a county bus half the day, you know, like we're out there for 6 hours in pouring rain and snow. Yeah, we're not gonna be pretty all the time, but you know, it's kind of weird. I actually had to explain, you know, like the way they're dressed is, you know, it's kind of fits the job. I'm not a 63-year-old retired school teacher that's driving around in a little Honda Civic, you know, with the little Quicksilver thing going on, you know. I'm out there pedaling my ass every day. So,
yeah, the bikes and the messenger community vary quite a bit, but definitely, you know, over the last 8 to 10 years, I guess longer than that in other parts of the country, but here, 8 to 10 years ago, the track bike, you know, the single-speed fixed gear bike became very popular for messengers, and I still ride that kind of bike to this day. And the reason for that is it's just extremely efficient and not a lot of maintenance at all. You know, no brakes to worry about freezing up or anything, and you feel like you're just very in control the whole time. And it's kind of a cliche, but it's true. It's kind of like it's an extension of your own body more than a freewheel bike. The bags are, this particular one is made by one of our couriers here at Breakaway. His name is Chad, and his company is Shag Bags. And this is actually a backpack 2 straps. Most messenger bags have just a single strap, you know, across one shoulder.
This is a Bailey Works bag. I particularly like this one because it's very soft and flexible.
Bag I use for a work day. Front, you got your radio. You got a holster here for my phone.
It's got this nifty little sling pocket, which, you know, 90% of my packages can fit right into. So,
A myriad of pens. Your tag book for all your runs, everything you need to do. Lights. Chewing gum.
Pocket for my tags. These are the tags we used for each delivery. We fill one out for every delivery.
I got my toolkit in here. That carries all my tools. And these can hold like a 6-pack of beer, which is really nice. You don't have to stick it in the back of your bag. Got an inside flap for extra documents that you need to keep safe. And a really, really big storage unit that can hold a banker's box, which is larger than a size of standard paper.
These straps come out so you can really, if you got something huge, you can just put that up. These straps come up, buckle to the top so you can carry way bigger loads than you should on a bike on your back.
but yeah, and the whole thing is waterproof. Has this waterproof lining and then a tough Cordura fabric on the outside here, and yeah, just a huge interior. You know, you can fit a banker's box right in there.
On the front end, you have this compression strap that lengthens and closes to keep the weight even on your shoulder. Got a little ID thing on here. This is my radio. Comes on a clip, comes off for what you need. Oops. And I've got the carabiners. These are just handy to keep around just in case you ever got to clip something heavy on. You can keep it hanging on you.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's just it's a big old bag.
The bag is you know, behind the bike. That's the next most important thing for a messenger. So it's, you know, I'm always sure to have a very nice quality bag, and luckily Shag Bags makes some of the best ones.
We're very essential for needs and goods for businesses and transportation, and we can kind of set ourselves apart, set our pace, identify our own, you know, style, culture, language, and we're very proud about it. I am, at least personally. I don't believe in being elitist about being a bike messenger. I'm very proud to be one. I don't think it's a job cut out for everyone. Some people want to do the job and they think, you know, it's summertime, okay, I'll go ride around and have fun and drop 4 packages. Unfortunately, that's not how you're going to make your money. If you work for a smaller company like I do, you got to be very dedicated. You have to come in rain or shine. There's no sick days. You have to work that extra hard when there's somebody else can't cover for you. You got to take on twice the weight, go twice the speed. So that sets us apart from people. We got a lot of endurance. We could put up with a lot of stress, a lot of pain, a lot of frustration that would kind of drive other people crazy.
For me, why I do it, one, my love of bikes. I'd be riding my bike all the time anyways, and I was. But it's fun. I mean, I'm riding my bike and making money. I'd be riding my bike for free anyways, so why not make money at it?
I think the greatest part of being a bicycle courier is the absolute freedom when you're out there. I mean, granted, you know, you're getting slammed around with some runs and things like that, but there is no better feeling of the freedom of just riding your bike all day long. And when you're out there, it's just a big flow. You know, it's calculated moves that you don't even really think about because you're just kind of in the zone. You know, there's nothing like it. It's really cool. You know, when you're out there pumping, shooting down alleys, hopping curbs, things like that, it just feels free. You know, I've been a jack of all trades. I've done a lot of things, and to me, nothing compares to just being out there riding your bike for 8 hours. You know, and not in a weekend getaway in a full Liker kit. You know, like I'm out there. I'm out in the city from 9 to 5. This is my city. You know.
I decided to become a bike messenger because I needed a job when I lived in Bremen, Germany. And a good friend of mine was also a courier there, and he hooked me up with a part-time job at his company delivering insurance documents for this man named Dadlaw.
But yeah, it can be interesting. It can get treacherous at times, for sure, with bad weather and cars that don't pay attention to you, and you know, it can be tough for sure. It's not for everyone, but it's also a blast. I mean, you know, some of us seem like we're just born for it. Like it's what we're meant to do almost. Yeah.
I like being a courier because I like its independence. I like the idea that you can make your own money on a machine that you can afford. You know, it's kind of like a Rastafarian belief that, even though I'm not a Rastafarian, but I mean, I like the idea that you work for yourself and you have your thing that you work with and you're completely independent and you take care of yourself. And as long as I can make money at it, you know, my art degree isn't paying off, so.
Yeah, Milwaukee couriing's a little bit different than other cities.
I think the thing that makes Milwaukee really unique as a messenger is it is a smaller city and it's easier to get around in. My only complaint here is that the drivers are too defensive, and the way I'm used to riding in other very busy cities, you have to be very aggressive. And here people are always stopping for you, and it kind of screws up your timing. But that shows the quality of the people. Like, people are looking out and they really do care, and they want to give you the right of way, which makes Milwaukee a nice place to work in. It's a smaller community. We make friends with our clients here, and that's really nice. It's fun to go into an office and say, like, "Hi, Sarah, how you doing today? Oh, what'd you do last night? Oh, I went out to a concert." Hey, there's a little banter. You know, other cities like New York, Chicago, you go in, you got a lady there with a bottle of disinfectant spraying off the counter after you come in and stuff like that, or you're working, the other messenger's a crackhead, you know. Here, everybody's young, pretty healthy. They're, you know, have really good hearts here.
Yeah, some of the specific things in this city is the things that can be tough in the winters for sure are the graded bridges over the river. Those can get really slippery in the winter for sure, and they're starting to get better with them. The city has put full plates over some of them, like as a bike lane, instead of just the grading, and that's a lot nicer. But those can be really tough in the winter, and then besides that, it's really just kind of a matter of when I ride, I try to kind of assume that no one else can see me, even if I make eye contact with that person. I've experienced, you know, someone, it looks like I'll make eye contact with them, they'll still turn right into me. So at this point, I just kind of assume that they don't notice me. So I have to, you know, always be moving to open space, basically.
Yeah, in Milwaukee, you can have the lane, and a lot of people don't understand that. But what happened to me once, ironically, is I was driving through a construction zone up on Martin Luther King, and a cop came up behind me and hit the lights and pulled me over, and he said, "What the hell do you think you're doing? You're blocking all this traffic. You have to get up on the sidewalk." And I said, "But officer, technically it's illegal for me to ride on the sidewalk." And he said, "Okay, you got a smart mouth, you want a ticket right now? You're gonna get a ticket." And I was like, "No, thank you. I'm just gonna ride on the sidewalk then," and waited for him to go away, you know? So it's always how people perceive it. But yeah, legally we're supposed to be able to have the whole lane, you know, and a lot of people don't get that, you know? That's why I think they get angry. Because sometimes if I have to get over, I'll take the whole right lane and I'm waiting for a gap in the left lane to make a left-hand turn, and someone comes zooming up in the right lane, and they just think I'm, you know, they're like, get on the sidewalk. They'll yell that out the car window. And it's like, no, I don't have to do that. You know, it's more dangerous for me to cut out on the sidewalk than it is to be out here in the middle of the street. So.
I've been pretty fortunate. You know, I haven't got hit yet working. I did get ran off the road once.
People aren't always checking their blind spots when they take right-hand turns. I always ride in the center because you're more visible, because obviously we don't always obey the laws, but we're trained enough to know how to get through things quickly. You know, I wouldn't suggest everyone do that. It's just that, you know, after you have so many years doing this, it's okay. Potholes, people opening their car doors to dump out their coffee. That one, you'll expect them to come out of the car, you know, when they're parked, because you can look in the mirrors. But sometimes when you're traveling through, you know, traffic at a stoplight, some jerk will just swing the door open and dump out the ashtray or coffee cups. I've had it where I was riding next to a panel van and someone pulled out a ladder right at my head height. I almost smacked it face first into the ladder. Buses sometimes don't see you. They cut you off. They're better than they used to be. They're a lot more conscientious. There's a lot more people riding in Milwaukee than there used to be 10 years ago, so it's a much better city to ride in. And just like your basic ignorant, angry person who is upset with the fact that you're in the lane, even though you have the right to be there, they can be really dangerous, because I've had people try to drive up and hit me from behind, and people throw things at me out the windows, and that just causes a problem no matter what. You know, you can make you veer off, hit a car. You know, people aren't paying attention to you, they crowd you into the lane, you can slam into a car, things like that.
Going over a nasty pothole, that's the other thing with this city is, you know, in the winters, the potholes can just be ridiculous. In the snow, you can't see them all the time, so it's just like you're navigating over these hidden potholes, you know, and or divots, and one that I hit was especially huge, and I went over my bars, basically flipped over my bars, and there was a guy behind me too. We were riding home, and he flipped over me right after me too. Cracked my helmet into about 10 pieces. So yeah, thank God for the helmet, and I was really a believer after that, but because my head was fine.
One of my favorite, something strange that happened to me once, well, it wasn't one of my favorite, one of the craziest things was, I was riding down Madison Avenue in New York. I was going downhill, I was going pretty fast, maybe a little over 20 miles an hour or so, because I was keeping pace with traffic. And on our messenger bags, we've got these, you know, straps with little plastic tabs that click into buckles. And I was stupid enough to have this one flapping out behind me. And I was riding next to a panel truck that had a steel dowel that held part of a gate. And the clip went in behind the dowel and twisted sideways and hooked me into the truck. So now I'm hitting a hill and the truck's accelerating, and I have to pedal twice as hard to keep in pace with the truck in order to reach over behind me. I'm slamming into the side of the truck. I got traffic on two sides of me. I'm in the middle of the road, and I had to unclick the buckle and push it out in order to dip out from being pulled out from underneath the truck or malachi crunched by the other car on the other side of me. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff like that. I've hit a guy head on at full speed and split his scalp open with my pen. That's why I wear my pen behind my ear, because I got the guy right across the head. I think he needed stitches. So that was pretty bad. I've been pretty lucky. I don't have too many crazy ones at all. You know, the one time I've gotten hit on the job was up by Cathedral Square Park on Jefferson Street, and it was a guy coming out of a parking garage. The driveway, you know, real tight driveway between two office buildings, and just turned out of a parking garage, and I went over his hood, smashed right into his hood, and luckily we were both going pretty slow. It was a slow speed accident, so I was really fine, but I think he was more scared than I was probably as I flew over his hood. Okay, one time I was tic-tacking with this guy over the Williamsburg Bridge in New York and coming into the Lower East Side, and it was a really big diesel Puerto Rican guy, and we were keeping pace with each other, and I was ahead of him. And what you do is you trail somebody and you follow him to shoot through traffic holes to go faster, and you know if there's another courier, you follow him because you know what they're going to be doing. So I came up on Houston Street, and it's a really busy boulevard, and I went and I said, oh crap, I better go fast, and I jumped on it, and he rolled out right behind me and got broadsided by a cab, flew up in the air and caved in the whole windshield. On the corner was a group of school kids right there, started screaming. I run out into the street, you know, drop my bike and run over to try to help the guy. He picks up his bike and throws it on the cab, yelling and screaming at the guy. And I was like, I grabbed his bike and took it over, and I was like, are you all right? And he was just completely livid. And I just said, I'm going to leave this guy alone. He's crazy. And I rode off. I wound up running into him in a messenger station maybe a couple months later. And I was like, hey, you were the guy that got hit by that cab over on Houston Street. And he was like, oh yeah, son, that wasn't nothing, you know. I was like, well, what happened? He was like, oh man, you got a little banged up. Man, he wrecked my bike though, man. I had to spend something, you know, all this money on a new bike. And I was like, I'm surprised that guy wasn't killed. He just took it like it was like nothing off his back. So, you know, there's some crazy guys out there, really strong, you know.
Yeah, it's not the safest job. It's also not a job for slackers. You're always moving, riding through traffic. I don't wear a helmet most of the time. Probably should. But yeah, there's a lot of dangers just riding through traffic like that at full speed. Fortunately, we break some traffic rules here and there. That obviously makes it a little more dangerous, but you just got to keep your wits about you, know what's going on around you.
A friend of mine was driving south on Water Street here in Milwaukee, and a panel truck with a on the roof there were ladders, took a left-hand turn right in front of him. Didn't even see him. He hit the van, flew in the air, and the ladders caught his skull and smashed open the back of his skull. He lived, thank God. He's got a titanium plate in the back of his head.
And I was the first one on the scene to find him, and that wasn't pretty. You know, I was still a little green around the collar, and you know, seeing some guy's head cracked open on cement kind of shakes you up a little bit. You know, I couldn't get that out of my head for like the entire weekend.
He had 2 emergency brain surgeries, and he's a really strong guy. He floored everyone. He got out of the hospital in like 4 days after this has happened. So, and we were all like, you know, I worked with him at the time, and it was a really big shock for everybody in Milwaukee, you know, because we all know each other, and nobody wants to see anybody else hurt. So, it was a big eye opener for a lot of us to be a little more careful, you know.
But then beyond messengers, you know, this whole other biking culture in Milwaukee, which is just growing and growing as we speak, it seems like.
Bike community in Milwaukee definitely get a lot bigger. I mean, when I first was out there, and before I was a courier, I knew everyone I saw. Over the past couple of years, there's tons of kids out there that I've never seen before. I used to know where everyone was. I'd see their bike outside. I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. And now I'm seeing bikes everywhere that I've never seen before, and new ones every day. It's just growing and growing, just getting better and better.
The Milwaukee and the bicycle culture here is, it's, you know, first of all, I mean, when you just look at Wisconsin, Wisconsin's a really big bicycling haven. Like there's a lot of, you know, it starts out just with your, you know, your weekend riders, you know, things like that. You get a lot of that, but also the cultures kind of meshes on more of a, you know, I think it all starts out with just some broke-ass kids that need to get around. You know, that's where bicycling starts in Milwaukee. You know, you got the MATC kids. Like I said, you know, I think if you sign up for MATC, I think you get a fixed gear bike thrown in, you know, with the Aero Spoke or something, and it starts out with a chrome bag. You know, those kids love it. They can't ride their bikes to save their lives, but they love it.
Yeah, on a nationwide or international scale, you know, messengers are, it's, you know, some people might say it's like a, you know, almost like a cult type thing. I don't really look at it like that, but it's like, the cool thing about being a messenger is if you run into a messenger in another city, if you're traveling, you already have an immediate bond, and like, you know, you can usually like strike up a friendly conversation with that person, or, you know, if you need a place to stay or something, you know, there's always, you know, messengers are usually the nicest people especially to other messengers. You know, there's always a place to stay. Like for the MMI, there was you know, tons of people from Chicago and Minneapolis and all over the country, and I think, you know, all of them had a place to stay on the floors of Milwaukee messengers, basically. You know, the scene is kind of like that.
Couriers are a eclectic group. You know, they're pretty strange. We're all, you know, we're hardworking people, and we can get a little rowdy sometimes. You know, we're a fun-loving bunch. You know, that we all drink like fish. It just kind of comes with the job. It's, you know, I was a painter for a number of years, and it seems like painting and being a bicycle courier has one really good thing in common, that you usually drink a lot.
So I guess that's what sets us apart from other types of bikers. You know, we get a lot of training time in. We have a lot of endurance. A lot of us can compete with road racers, you know, simply because we have that much time on the bike every day to ride. You know, road racers have their own, you know, roadies, they've got their own culture. Messengers got their own culture. But, you know, mountain bikers have their own culture. You know, we all come together at a certain point for the love of riding a bike, and I have maximum respect for everybody who rides a bike across the board, the commuter to the, you know, the weekend pleasure rider to the professionals. You know, I think it's a really important thing for society. It's the most simple, beautiful machine made.